Greetings, kindred. This is I, Voivode Maquette, for Our World of Darkness, and today we continue our reading of Chicago by Night. Now, that being said, we read the introduction last time, and I stopped short at red number 5, and the reason is because I didn't want to jump directly into the chapter without some narrative. So, we continue with red number 5. A night to remember that you'll probably forget. Oh my god, what a fantastic night. Okay, so my girlfriend Chrissy and I are from Milwaukee. We came to Chicago for a girls' weekend, and we were having a little pre-game wine drinking session at Z451 when Jason invited us to meet a couple of his buddies at this place called Red number 5. We were like, sure. We were two girls out, looking cute, ready to mingle and perhaps get in a little trouble. Besides, Golo was supposed to be playing, and I love his sets because I'm a big house music fan, right? I mean, don't let my Becky-ish looks fool you. I love getting my groove on and getting down with the brothers, if you know what I mean. So we got to the club, which is a couple of doors south, right past the six corners of Milwaukee, Grand, and Hallstead, around 10:30. Now, you wouldn't think a place like this would really start jumping until like midnight, but there was already a line at the door filled with people wanting to get in. It was crazy. It felt like the movie about that club in New York that was real big during the disco era. Anyway, the bouncer looked really rough, and I mean, they looked professional, all clean shaven, wearing black suits, that kind of doorman you'd probably see at any classy spot, but it was clear they were definitely not to be fucked with. They just had that vibe about them, you know? Now, there was one group of girls who looked like they just stepped off of the episode of Real Housewives of Chicago, who looked like they were almost about to start a scene because the bouncers wouldn't let them in. I don't know why they wouldn't. They definitely looked like the kind of ladies guys would want in the club. They were looking like those ghetto models with their weaves, all squeezed into their tight dresses, which barely covered their asses or their tits, and shivering in the cold because, they left their coats in the car and didn't want to pay for a coat check fee. I mean, it's a frickin' middle of March. Chicago doesn't decide to warm up until maybe late May. Anyway, just as they were about to really turn up and act ratchet for not being able to get into the club, one of the bouncers, a big, pale, white guy, about 6'3", 350 pounds, with a spiderweb tattoo that began at the top of his head and trailed down his neck with a spider at the end of it, lowered his head, tipped his sunglasses down to the bridge of his nose, so pretentious with the sunglasses at night, right? And stared right into the lead chick's eyes. Then he says, real calm and cool, "I'm sorry, but you ladies are not allowed in red number 5 this evening." I don't know, but it looked like the lead girl wet her pants. She was so scared, she quickly went to her girlfriends and announced that they were leaving that very second. The other girls were so shaken up by the look on their friend's face that they lined up without hesitation and looked at the group. I looked at the group I came here with and was like extremely nervous. Don't get me wrong, I mean, Chrissy and I are like super cute girls with we're both blonde and we both work out. Chrissy is a little thinner and like 2 inches taller than me, but I've got that bigger rack and a little junk in my trunk, which the brothers like. I totally get called a snow bunny all the time. But we definitely weren't model chick, hoochie fabulous. like those girls who were kicked out of the line. Now, on top of that, we had three guys with us in untucked shirts, blue jeans, and regular shoes. If those girls couldn't get in, what chance would our grubby little crew have of getting past the velvet rope? I was kind of shocked when the spiderweb bouncer let us into the club with a smile and a friendly "enjoy your evening." Now, what I didn't mention earlier is that Chrissy and I were ready to party. By the time by that time, I mean we were smoking a little reefer in the car, which accentuated a really lovely Merlot buzz. Then Jason's buddy Trevor surprises us with a couple of capsules of pure MDMA, not that corny ecstasy shit. Obviously, Trevor was hoping a couple of happy pills would get him some lovin' from either Chrissy or me, a blowjob at the very least. It was obvious he wasn't picky. But what he didn't know was that Chrissy and I were old pros at this game, and we were all full of TLC. We were in full TLC mode that night, aka no scrubs. We paid our entry fee and got our hands stamped. That's when the pills started kicking in a little hard, but manageable as we started walking down this black corridor into the club. The red lights made it feel a little mysterious, like eyes wide shut but less cheesy. It's kind of sexy. We enter the main room, and it was pretty big, but not crowded. It wasn't empty. I mean, there's plenty of people there, but it was easy to walk around without bumping into anybody, unless they were really sloppy. It wasn't your usual Friday night crowd. Sure, there were a couple of people in suits and fancy dresses in the club who looked like they were playing it up, but this didn't feel like the usual let's go get out because it's Friday type of crowd. They were dressed nice, but there was a casual vibe. They all knew each other or something. The red light hit the mahogany walls and the chrome railing real nice. I'm studying interior design, so I pay attention to these things. The DJ had his own platform above the dance floor. It was a small circular patch that was large enough to fit the turntables, a small couch, and a circular table to set your drinks down. The DJ was playing some old school hip hop from the 90s. The initial rush eased into the smooth groove of some really good shit. We walked past the first bar, through the doorway that didn't have a bouncer with a rope in front. Free access. There was another bar behind the main floor, so cool. There were these black leather couches with mahogany tables. People were hanging out and having drinks, so I thought we could continue with another drink before heading downstairs to hear Golo's set. Those couches were soft and buttery. I felt like we were in the coolest music video ever. So, here I was, feeling good and rubbing this leather couch. Trevor thinks that this is a sign that he should make his move. Chrissy, being the baddest bitch ever, slides between me and Jason, like a good cockblocker should. Unfortunately, Trevor doesn't get the hint and starts trying to push up on the both of us. The creep. It's about this close to getting ugly and harshen my role when the waitress comes up to our table for a drink order. Oh, what I forgot to say is that all the waitresses are hot. I mean, off the cover of Vogue, and what the hell are you working here hot? Our waitress was this tall, light-skinned black girl with green eyes, and a close crop haircut dyed blonde. She was wearing tight black scoop neck cocktail dress. I don't know if it was a mix of weed, Molly, or alcohol, but I seriously was questioning my orientation with this girl. So, she gives me a menu, and I'm looking at the specials, and I say out loud, "Excuse me, what's in the winter rosebud?" Her eyes get a little big, and she quickly snatches the menu from my hand and gives me another one. "I'm so sorry. I gave you the wrong menu." That was last night's special. Here's tonight's menu. I thought that her reaction was a little over the top. I mean, so what if it was last night's menu? What's the big deal? I didn't know alcohol went bad a day later. Whatever. I'm rolling, and it's not even that deep. So, I keep my thoughts to myself and order my drink. Then I saw him. Now, remember when I said that this felt like the coolest music video ever? Okay, imagine you're moving in slow motion. The music is thumping 96 beats per minute in sync with your heartbeat. The lights dissolve from red to purple to blue and then back again. People from all races and backgrounds are around you looking cool and ethnic and different and sexy. And then the crowd of beautiful dancer people parts, revealing the sexiest man God Almighty ever made. He walked into the room talking to a waitress who is giving him some receipts to look over. There was some corporate-looking douchebag in a suit walking on his other side. He was about 6 feet tall, with milk chocolate skin. His hair was cut real low. He had a goatee, and he wore a simple metal loops in his ears. He was chill, but had a little swagger. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wore a tight pair of blue jeans, black shell-toe shoes, and a black t-shirt that hugged his muscular shoulders and arms, but hung loose, untucked over his jeans. I mean, his outfit shouldn't have stood out like that. On anyone else, especially the guys Chrissy and I were stuck with, you wouldn't give that guy a second look. But this guy, his look was super crisp, and he wore it such confidence. He totally owned it. Like I said, Mama likes a little hot chocolate in her milk, and this guy was looking very yummy. Hope you guys are enjoying the hell out of this. I was thinking about the Butterscotch Babies Special Dark, my name for Mr. Yummy, and we're gonna have and being totally comfortable with my parents disowning me when Chrissy bumped my shoulder and said we should go downstairs and hear Golo's set, and to get away from Trevor's clammy bits. I totally was down for that since Special Dark looked like he was heading that way too. We told the boys we were heading downstairs and that they should hold up the table until we got back because we weren't going to be down there long. Total lies. They were busy making plans to try to mac on some of the girls they'd been seeing in the club, and since it was obvious that they were getting nowhere with us, Chrissy managed to get a pill from Trevor. Ecstasy this time. We split it, popped the respective halves into our mouths, washing the bitter taste down with our extremely well-made cocktail, and made our way to the basement. The basement. Oh my God, it was amazing. It was similar layout to the top floor, but didn't have the second bar in the back. The black leather couches and tables were on an upper landing that flanked the dance floor. Golo was in full effect. He was laying down some super funky Afro house. It felt like we were at an Afro punk festival. It was all natural hair and face paint. Some people had nose piercings and tattoos, but some people dressed older. I mean, I saw some people our age dressed like the 70s fashion from Soul Train were new. But it didn't matter because Golo got them all into the same groove and everybody was dancing like it was some tribal ceremony invoking the ancestors. And before you asked how do I know that tribal ancestor stuff, I've taken some Pan-African studies classes too. I'm like totally woke. I hate her. I hate her so much. Now, the second half of the roll is kicking right when Golo drops my favorite new track. Chrissy and I get on the dance floor and just start getting into the whole groove. So we're dancing, and I see Special Dark at the left corner table, sitting with his tall, lanky, super dark bald guy in the wine-colored suit with a yellow tie. He's kind of creepy looking. And no, it's not because he was really dark that I thought he was creepy. I'm not a racist. I'm just saying that he just sat there like some sort of statue, barely nodding his head to the music while Special Dark was trying to say something to him, which seemed kind of important. I get really focused on details when I roll. It's kind of my thing. Next to the statue, with this Latina woman with big curly hair, wearing a yellow flapper style dress. She was gorgeous. And she had her arms wrapped in a statue while they sat. They were obviously a couple. They almost looked like they could be Special Dark's parents based on the vibes that they gave off from their body language. I saw Special Dark get up from the table and start making his way to the dance floor. I started dancing as seductively as possible to get his attention. Unfortunately, the only attention I attracted was some greasy drunk guy trying to grind up on my booty. He was grabbing my waist and trying to pull me close, and I could smell a mixture of methanol cigarettes and Jack Daniels on his breath. And ugh, he was gross. Even worse, I could see Special Dark dancing with Chrissy. That bitch. While she was getting swept off her feet by my future baby daddy, I was stuck under the bridge with this troll who could not take a fucking hint. Chrissy whispered something in Special Dark's ear, and I think she wanted to check on Jason and Trevor since they were our ride, and left Special Dark on the dance floor as she headed upstairs. There he was, my dark prince, alone, while I was stuck with this basic bro trying to publicly get in my pants. Then Special Dark turned his head, and our eyes locked. He studied the situation for a moment and obviously saw a damsel in distress. What happened next is probably the sexiest thing that ever happened to anyone. He smiled and held out his hand, which I took immediately, and pulled me away from the asshole. I wrapped my arms around his neck, and he started dancing as if we'd known each other for years. I barely noticed the bro attempt to make me the ham in his freak down sandwich, and he must have finally gotten the hint because he finally left me and Special Dark alone so we could get to know each other a little better. As we danced, Special Dark told me his name was Bennett and was the host for tonight's party. I also think he said he was co-owner of Red Number 5. All I could pay attention to was rubbing his strong milk chocolate arms as he held me close while we swayed to the beat. I looked into his light brown eyes and couldn't take it anymore. I wanted this man, and it wasn't the drugs that prompted my next course of action. I mashed my face against his, feeling his soft, pillowy lips against mine. Man, could he kiss. He took my breath away. This was it. In my mind, we were going to run away together, get married, and have a couple of beautiful, mop-haired, cafe au lait children. I was so lost in the moment, I didn't notice Chrissy coming back down the stairs until she broke up my potential romantic love scene with Bennett. Now, here's where the story gets crazy. Chrissy joins us, wraps her arms around both of us, and we all start dancing together. Bennett in the middle of these two white girls, like reverse cookie sandwich. I know that Rando Bro would have been extra pissed if he saw this happening. Chrissy and I were rolling really hard now. I got really hot as our hands were slipping up and down Bennett's waist, arms, and all over each other. Then Chrissy slides from behind Bennett and comes in between us. She turns and plants a long, soft, wet kiss on his pillow lips. Normally, this would have pissed me off, but I was feeling so good I didn't care. In fact, it was a huge turn on. Then Chrissy turned to me with a look I never saw before, and I was like a deer in the headlights, and she started to kiss me. Next thing I know, we were all kissing each other and becoming this sweaty sex heap of passion. Oh man, we needed to find a room and handle this before we really became those people at the club. Chrissy and I were definitely letting our inner hose out that night. But I guess we had nothing to worry about since Bennett was the club owner, right? The next few moments were a blur. Bennett's strong hands are gripping my ass just right while Chrissy is kissing and licking Bennett's neck before returning to his lips. We're still all moving to the beat of the music when Bennett breaks away and starts kissing my neck as Chrissy licks his ear. Oh. Did Bennett just bite me on my neck? That was kind of hard, but hot at the same time. Oh, now Chrissy's licking my neck, where Bennett just gave me a hickey. She pulls away with her tongue sticking out before shoving it down Bennett's throat. Wait, was that blood on her tongue? Wait, was that my blood on her tongue? Jason and Trevor renewed our love fest by coming downstairs. Jason and Trevor ruined our love fest by coming downstairs and ripping Chrissy and I away from our new favorite candy bar. They pushed Bennett towards the bar. The boys were really pissed and tried to start a fight with Bennett. Probably because he got farther with us than they ever could, or ever will. They got all up in his face while Bennett stood there, cool as a cucumber. I don't know why the bouncers didn't get involved, but Bennett just shot them a "I got this" look, and these three big scary guys, including the tattooed bouncer from earlier in the night, backed away. Now, during this whole time, the music was going and the people kept dancing. It's like it was no big deal. Even the statue and the flapper just sat there like this was nothing, just another Friday night at Red Number 5. Until Trevor broke a beer bottle on the edge of the bar and lunged at Bennett. What came next happened so fast. I was so fucked up. I know, I'm making this up. But I thought Bennett grabbed Trevor spun him around into a chokehold, and sunk his teeth into Trevor's neck. He threw Trevor down like a used napkin, grabbed Jason by the neck, and body slammed him to the ground with one hand. The last thing I remember was Bennett's light brown eyes staring at me while his mouth was stained with Trevor's blood. Then everything got hazy. I woke up the next morning in my hotel room. Chrissy was lying next to me in the bed. We were still fully clothed. She woke up about 5 minutes after me, and we tried to clear our heads from the fog because we were both groggy as shit. The Molly we took last night was clean, but still. The after roll leaves you in this half-floating state that could last the whole next day. We both were wondering what happened last night. It was a dream, right? Jason and Trevor were fine, right? Chrissy went to get us some coffee while I tried to call Jason and see if he and Trevor were okay from the night before. The call went straight to voicemail. I tried calling again. Same thing. I must have called at least 10 times before finally giving up. Jason never called back. A couple months later, Chrissy and I were back in Chicago for another night on the town. We decided we'd head back to Red Number 5, and since we had such a great time there before the weirdness, as we got to the front of the line, we saw that my favorite spidery bouncer was working the front door. However, he wasn't so warm this time. "I'm sorry, ladies, but I can't let you in tonight," he said. "Why not?" I asked in my best little girl voice. "Last time you were here, you caused problems. We can't afford problems here." "That wasn't us," I pleaded. "We didn't cause any problems. It was those two guys we came here with. You can't blame us for something someone else." Before I could get the next words out, Mr. Bouncer lowered his head, tipped his sunglasses to the bridge of his nose. I looked into his eyes, and at the moment I saw what happened to Jason and Trevor. They brought us into the environment we knew nothing about, and they proceeded to shit all over the place and break the rules. They paid the price, and it wasn't pretty. It was only because of the rules that Chrissy and I were able to walk out of the club. Now I know how those hoochie mamas felt a couple months past. Chrissy and I got out of the line and left. We never stepped foot in Red Number 5 again. We don't know what happened to Jason and Trevor, and we don't want to know. We just knew that we didn't belong there. Chapter 1. The World of Chicago. The Greater Chicago Welcome Center Introduction. Greetings, traveler, and welcome to the Greater Chicago Welcome Center. We would like to take some time to share a bit of history about this wonderful city. While the city of Chicago was founded in 1833, Native American tribe populated the area previously, specifically the Algonquin people. It also was home to the Potawatomi. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. The Potawatomi, Miami, and Illinois nations. Chicago was a trade center and home. When French settlers came to the city, the population of the native tribes diminished from sickness and being forced from their lands. My dear darling Aluk, I am glad to hear you safely traveled to our city, and I hope you have found it somewhat hospitable. I trust you will have Alexa or a ghoul read this aloud for you, as, sadly, I do not know Braille. I wanted to write you and inform you of some of our history here in the city before you entered, as it has set the tone for modern nights. A lot of it is quite dreary, I'm afraid. So for your sanity, I shall focus on the fun parts. You know, Chicago has been a long sought after city since the arrival of the French. The native tribes have been living here for some time when they built the fort. Fort Dearborn. And were not happy the French intended to stay. No, not at all. It seems there was a rivalry between two vampires on each of these sides that fueled this resentment. Melanus, an ancient member of the Learned Clan. Yes, I know that name is something of a joke, but had been living with the Native Americans for several generations and compelled their trust and silence. From what I understand of the situation, he had an arch rival going back centuries. That one's identity eludes me, but I give into understanding that he or she was a member of your own clan. We'll call that one the Rose, for the sake of ease. There's no doubt in my mind that their centuries-old dispute spilled over the soil and forever changed the domain. It seems Rose and Melanus orchestrated a large battle between the Native Americans and the French, which the Native Americans, of course, lost. A wonderful, beautiful people, but ravaged by disease by this point. They really had no hope. Melanus was angered, and the two ancient vampires battled each other at the cost of many mortal lives. Both vampires fell into torpor during their fight, and their bodies were dragged from the field by their respective servants. Nobody really knows their plans or where their conflict began, nor have they been able to follow it since that moment. Apparently, there has been much longer game being played out in Chicago, but it went by unnoticed until much later, when pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. Kindred realizing their strings had been pulled for centuries in some cases. I believe this is why the old Gangrel and Malkavian Primogen left the city, too tired of being puppets. It doesn't matter now. At any rate, I understand Melanus may have departed in these nights, leaving his puppets with strings severed. I have never encountered Rose knowingly, but her presence is undeniable now. I do wonder who she has in her thrall. Aluk, truly, I do. Having monsters as ancient as that at play is an unpleasant thing one must consider. There is a much larger game, Haluk. I do hope you're ready to become a pawn, because this is all we will ever be. With that said, welcome to Chicago. Don't let my dour clothes dismay you from your course, and come visit the Succubus Club whenever you find the time. Be well, Annabelle. Olaf tells all, for those who would listen. They thought me dead. They thought me dead, child. But no, I am not. I am here, and I am king of the streets. Or at least, that is what they call me these days. Olaf, the one-eyed king. I no longer have fancy titles, status, or any station higher than rats. But I was a mighty ruler, I tell you. No scum was able to topple me, no. I was feared, and my enemies quaked at the mere mention of my name. But much like Icarus, I flew high to the sun, so to speak. My damn pride led me to greater and greater heights. And that's what happens when you fly too high. Do you hear me? The fall is much greater than you were to lay low. And so here I am, squalid among the poor and forgotten, giving jobs to the lowly who can't find work. I lift up those who I can, if only because it is not yet my time to be lifted. But it'll come. It'll fucking come. Malkavian wretches say, "Wah, wah. We're nothing more than chess pieces on a board. Our masters are the ones who get to choose where we go. Somebody show us the light." Cretins. For years I served under Maxwell, who was undoubtedly a good pawn to an old vampire, but one night the board shifted. The great fire of Chicago left me with an opportunity to descend to my throne, ousting Maxwell and banishing him from the city. It became the ritual, you know. A new prince may never exude the old one. No prince may never execute the old one. Something I wanted enforced to cover my own sorry ass in case of some jumped up usurper, and to keep the pretense of nobility alive. I sat on my throne for many years, a ruler even my enemies were terrified of. But I made mistakes, child. Oh, how I did. My continued missteps led to my eventual fall. I gave power to the wrong people in the city. And it was those very low dissenters who dragged up and began to dismantle what I had built. Ungrateful, unworthy. The night will come where I crush them again. But I grow weary of falling over and over again, child. Don't say I didn't warn you. They'll be waiting for you to trip and fall, and I won't be there to cushion the fall. I'll be climbing on your back to retake the little ounce or two of power. Now go back to your fake throne and take comfort knowing you are not me. You may my glories and my states depose, but not my griefs. Still, I am the king of those. To put it in language you might understand, fuck off before I get these vagrants to take you apart limb by limb. This is my domain and always will be. The Great Calamity of the Age. An extract of the Chicago Mirror, October 9th, 1871. The night of Saturday, October 8th, will go down in history as one of the greatest disasters in history. A fire started in an O'Leary's barn, swept through the city overnight, leaving Chicago an absolute ruin. Most of the business areas in the area are nothing more than smoldering ruins, and many citizens are left without homes. The mayor has not been able to comment at this time, as he has been busy helping to organize groups of citizens to help contain the blaze, which is still slowly spreading today. Nobody is certain how the blaze started. First Light transcript, CH 908A. Genesis. Hey, I hear you are in town. J 123. Yep, I've been here for a couple weeks now. Where have you been? Genesis. Around. I got caught up in b-ball session, in the b-ball season. J123. You still watch that? Hey, why didn't you warn me about Lake Michigan? I tried to go to the beach the other night and was not prepared for that. Genesis. Shit, I didn't warn you? Shit, I didn't warn you. Yeah, bad news there. Don't go there. That place is super weird. J123. Noted. So, what have you been up to? Genesis. Check the breather Antifa types. J123. Yes. Genesis. They really get some of the big yacht club members pissed, you know, Wim. Last time this was a thing, they started riots and shit. J123. Why has this gotten your attention? Genesis. Last round of strikes that happened caught Sweet off guard, and he lost a bunch of control. I'm thinking this could work in our favor right now. J123. You mean start protests and riots? To what end? Genesis. Shut down the city and make it real hard for money to continue. Force the yacht club to play nice for a while and let some of us in. J123. Okay. I like where this is headed. Just be careful, okay? Genesis. Yeah. Let's get a drink at Red 5. J123. I'm down. As spoken by an unidentified anarch. Peace is for the weak. Silk slippers, boys and girls, peacemakers for soft rulers. The time of peace reigned for nearly 50 years. Nothing but non-stop boredom. The Primogen Council lorded a power structure over Loden, ensuring their control over the city. For some time, instead of fighting back, Loden focused on Modius, the degenerate prince of Gary. Loden loved a war, so while Chicago's kindred reclined to bask in the peace that made them soft and unready for the eventual lupine invasion and anarch uprising, Loden set against Modius. Never forget, Modius was a joke, and every one of us who threw his life into the fire, that worthless ass was wasting more of our time than gaining prestige. Fuck knows I know. Still, I can't fault Loden's need for distraction. Pricked by Loden's incessant needling, Modius unsuccessfully led the Chicago strike as an attempt to unbalance the Ventru hold over the domains and overthrow him. Modius escaped to Gary with Annabelle's assistance and continued to grow his power base in that city. Of course, Loden allowed Capone and Ballard two of his children, to freedom to go after Modius. They set upon the city, eroding the infrastructure, destroying the economy. Their efforts were so successful that even to this day, the city and surrounding areas have not been able to recover. But hey, that what makes it a fun little barony. The hottest invitation in town. You are cordially invited to attend a gathering hosted by Aluk of the Ministry. It will be held on November 8th at the halls of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, Chicago's first established Elysium during the Kochmar era. A private performance will be held beforehand for those that are interested in attending. This will be a black tie event. Text extracted from the email regarding blank body number 441C. I saw the damnedest thing and have to tell you about it. You know Hernandez? Well, I was out for a midnight snack and found her walking around outside the Lincoln Park Zoo waiting for someone. Thinking this could be interesting, I made myself, as small as I can and pretended to be a shadow, So, a beaten up old car parks on the side of the road, and this guy, Arab, got out, got one of those hats, early 30s, bit of a spring in his step, leaves the car and joins her. They speak in low tones for a while. They walk along the neighborhood, but I've got these good ears, see? The guy has an accent. I guess I'd describe it as European, but I know that doesn't help much. German. So he says, Primogen Rosa, it's nice to meet you. Thank you for taking time to see me. She gives him a look and shakes her head. Rudy, I will always have time for you, brother. What is it you wanted to speak to me about? Rudy. Rudy. The one who leads the whole army of animals out of Norway or whatever. He's got a rep. And he's not in the big C. So Rudy makes nice for a bit before continuing on. I'm curious, Rosa, why you decided to join the C. Even after our family left it. What could they possibly give you that's better than freedom? Guess he's here to convert the big warrior queen. They gave me a second chance. They gave me second chances. I made a huge mistake that night, killing all those people. I risked the safety of everyone in the city. The Viking allowed me to live. And it's weighed heavy on my mind since then. I joined because they believe in its because what they believe in is right. Ultimately, it will be what keeps us safe. So, it sounds like she feels indebted to the sea. But, she's come around to believing in it. Rudy nodded slowly, like a therapist. I've seen this kind of shit before, and I can see that being important to you. I just wish you would have talked to someone when we decided to leave the club. Rosa. He says, We can take care of ourselves. We are the survivors. We're good at it. While it helps to have backup, like you feel like your organization gives you, we don't need it. We make our own paths. I guess he's trying to make a Prim go A. Trying to make the Prim go A. But she then turns it around on him with a laugh. She laughs at Rudy. I know. So what can I offer you to come to the Camarilla? You would be excellent on our team. Honestly, I couldn't tell if Rudy was shocked, amused, or offended. He just shook her hand and said, "Nothing right now. But thank you for the offer. You know how to reach me if you need something. Good night." Off he drives into the night. Now, I'm guessing he's up to more than that if he's come all the way out here. It can't just be for a chat. Are the A's planning a big move? The warning. A recorded conversation between PFJ and an unidentified individual. I know why you are here. I get it. I do. The writing is on the wall, and you are just doing what you have to do. Just remember to play nice. You are in my city, and if you become a threat to my city, I will end you. This is your one warning, Prince Jackson. Chicago Botanical Gardens. Open new garden area. An extract from the Chicago Mail, June 25th, 1972. Chicago Horticultural Society is happy to announce its new botanical gardens, a project 10 years in the making. They have several tours, a reception, and family activities planned for the day. The Horticulture Society has stated its plans for the new location will be educational, offering classes and workshops for those who are interested. From the secret recordings of Jason Newberry. Recording begins. Alexa. Primogen Newberry. You summoned me for the meeting. What can I help you with? Son. Alexa. You cute thing. So cool to see you again. I hope Chicago has been good to you so far. I want to introduce myself to see if I could help with anything. Silence is recording, lasting 6 seconds. Alexa. It's nice to meet you, son. I've been learning a bit about your city, and one thing struck me as very curious. There are a great many Ventru within the city, and most of them are sired by Loden. Is that correct? Background laughter from a third party in the room. Son. That is correct. The old prince has sired a great many kindred. That dog seems to have been very open when it came to his own progeny. Had a tight grip on the tradition for everyone else. Alexa. Curious the Primogen Council didn't step in on about that. Weren't they more powerful than they are now? More background laughter. Son. Alexa, baby. The council has always been a force to be reckoned with in Chicago. Several of them voiced their support for the kindred known as Maldavis to get rid of the Lodestar. You may want to talk to Annabelle at some point about that. Alexa. I will contact her at some point, rest assured. Did the council's actions ever lead to anything? Son. Yes. In fact, it led to Loden losing a lot of his power. Alexa. Thank you for your insight into this matter. Son. You're welcome, my lady. Should you ever need anything or a safe place to stay, you may contact me. More laughter. Alexa. I'm no lady. Please remember that. I appreciate the offer, but I will decline at this time. Recording ends. More from the mouth of Olaf. Do you want to know what the lowest point of a king's reign is? It is that moment when everyone around him has turned their backs and he's brought to his knees to beg for forgiveness. Everyone thinks it would be when he loses his crown, but no. Begging for a king is a lowly act. But beg is what I did, little child. I had reached my breaking point and didn't know what to do anymore. Maldavis had gotten so far ahead of me that I couldn't root that sow out. Everywhere I turned, she had something waiting for me to try and take whatever power I had left. I had never felt so threatened. It was exhilarating. I'd do it all again for the rush of the threat. That's the one thing other kindred don't get about being prince. You never find the nights tedious. And they let me have it. Oh yes, they did. The prince was brought low before them, on his knees and begging. And they decided it best to kick him while he was down. They had the upper hand on me. They always had the upper hand, and they knew it. I never forgot how they treated me, though. One must always learn from one's mistakes. One! Christ, you wouldn't think we were stood under a bridge, surrounded by bums in sleeping bags. I had to bend to their requests, even though it went against my own rules. It pays to be the swing vote in these situations. Annabelle was almost always the swing. She got the most out of the deal. But I'd finally gotten that backing I needed to move against Maldavis. But that was the beginning of my fall. When I flew high enough to feel the sun start to melt my wings. It was only a matter of time by that point. But you should talk to that bitch. She'll tell you. And she'll delight in it. A final letter. To whom it may concern. By the time you find this note, I will be dead. Knowing my suffering will soon be at an end convinces me now is the time to come clean on my knowledge of Mayor Washington's death. I am the last surviving member of his bodyguard detail, and though for years I maintained I was absent during his death, I was witness to it all, and scared into silence. Mayor Washington was working late in his office November 24th, 1987, like he usually did. Thanksgiving was in a couple of days, and he wanted to get as much work done as possible. so that he could spend time with Mariella without worry. As he packed up his things to go, he called out to me to switch off the office lights. It was as the lights went off. A man in the dark whispered to me, "Drive him home and do nothing to save him." I remember my knees going weak. They say it's just an expression, but I felt about ready to collapse on the carpet. The wall helped steadying me. The mayor asked if I was okay, and I answered yes. I didn't feel I could say anything else. The person who whispered to me had gone. I drove him home without issue. I wondered if I was imagining everything, but felt I had to keep watch over his house that night. I saw him enter the lounge and fall asleep in his favorite chair. That's when I saw the figure, a strikingly blond man in a black tracksuit, easily enter the home via the conservatory. As Harold slept, I saw the man kiss him on the neck like a movie vampire. He was there for minutes, just holding that pose. I couldn't move from my seat, just watching this weird display. When the man left the house, he came over to my car and I sped away. I never told anyone because the man kept visiting me every now and then to talk about someone he called Mal Davis, who he would say was Washington's mistress. He would laugh that with the mayor dead, as he died the following day at work, Davis had lost everything. He just loved mocking me with that. Then he stopped coming, but I never stopped being scared. I'm so sorry. Cunningham. Chicago's Mayor Washington dies after a heart attack in his office. An extract of Chicago Star, November 25th, 1987. Mayor Washington suffered a heart attack in his office while meeting with his press secretary. He was rushed to Northwest Memorial Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Press Secretary Alan Miller reported that Mayor Washington slumped over his desk while they were discussing school board issues, and emergency services were called immediately. Mayor Washington was Chicago's first black mayor and was 65 years old. Text extracted from the encrypted email from gbiker@sunburst.col to mmm@sunburst.col. Both emails, since deactivated, flagged due to the use of word anarch. You stupid upstart of an anarch. Do you really think it wise to work the unions and student movements up into a riot to see if you can gain control over the city? The last time we tried that, it didn't work. And guess what? A lot of people died. Don't you remember being run out of the city like animals? I almost died that night, and you hid away in Milwaukee. You should rethink your actions here, G. Let's not get too deep and lose the fight again. We aren't going up against L anymore. We have to be prepared in more ways than controlling the mortal population. We need numbers and a plan. Let's meet. M. Entelechy School lesson Number 114, The Flood. Floods have been around for eternity. Since the time man started recording history, floods have been a central theme, appearing in history books and religious texts. While some may not be entirely accurate, it makes sense that water, and particular floods, would make their way into kindred history. This is where the Great Chicago Flood comes into play, and it is a dark time for both kindred and mortals alike. In 1992, rumors started circulating that Clan Tremere was working on finding out the havens of the Nosferatu. It was assumed the endeavor was fruitless, as members of the Clan Nosferatu tend to make their havens extremely hard to find and equally dangerous to get to. These rumors were a central point of several weeks and had just started dying down when a great flood struck the downtown area of Chicago. Upon initial investigation, it appears as though the flood was natural. Chicago was built on a marshland anyway, so it was bound to flood at some point. Then reports of many homeless turning up dead within the sewers started, but they were kept out of mainstream media. Downtown Chicago ground to a halt for over a week, impacting businesses and homes within the area. Along with those investigative reports was talk of massive damage done to Nosferatu havens within the city. From there, it was not hard to put the pieces together and finish the puzzle. The biggest question remaining was, why would the Tremere do this? What was it for them at the time to endanger as many kindred and take the lives of countless mortals? Well, there isn't a good answer for those questions. There is plenty of speculation, most of which revolve around the kindred Khalid and Nikolai, and the rivalry between the two. Others speculate Lodin paid Nikolai to do this, and to eliminate his enemies, but that Nikolai failed in his task and caused much more damage to the city than was originally intended. Another rumor, started by Tommy Walker, was that another Nosferatu was trying to destroy Khalid. Sheriff Damon's Recordings, number 778. Aluk. I don't know why I said that with an accent. Aluk. I am very impressed with the city so far. It has been rather welcoming for strangers such as Alexa and I. I have already indulged in several sublime pleasures. Brett. I'm glad to hear you're finding your way around this so easily. Dude. Have you visited the Suck Club yet? Aluk. The Succubus? No, I have not. Annabelle told me about it, but I've heard it's not easy to find if you don't know where to look. Brett. Damn straight. But I know where to find it. And the secret knock. You should come see it sometime. I think you and Alexa would find it fun, given your tastes. Aluk. Has it always been a city staple? Brett. Sure. It was founded and protected by Thornhill of Ventru. He's Ash now. These nights, it's more under the stewardship of interested roses like myself, Portia and Annabelle. I can't complain about being pinned between those two ladies. Aluk, my friend, your tone betrays your bravado. I hear there were attacks on it. I guess it isn't an Elysium? Brett. It is, and it isn't. Jackson made steps to declare it so, but The suck still leaves a bad taste with some kindred. There was only one such attack, really. That was the night the werewolves descended. They were after Loden, I thought. Other kindred thought the lupines were after someone more powerful, but who's more powerful than the prince, right? Aluk. Who indeed? How did the rest of the city fare? If their focus was on the club, did they attack and then retreat? Brett. No. Far from it. They only attacked the club one night of the whole mess. Loden declared a blood hunt on all werewolves, and our city answered with force. We were able to destroy a good number of werewolves. But we were unaware of the bigger problem. Aluk. What happened? Brett. They destroyed a great many of us. They came for us everywhere. In our havens, at the club, in Elysium. Nobody was safe. In the end, about a third of us were dead. Some rumors still float out there. The gangrel were telling them where to find our havens. Flea-ridden pricks. I'm glad they've gone anarch. Aluk, I understand your old prince met his end. What happened to the Primogen? Brett. All thrown into chaos. It was quickly discovered Loden was destroyed in the fight. Several other officers were missing or dead. It was a scramble to keep the city together so the anarchs wouldn't seize it. Slam poetry of the streets of Chicago. Olaf Holt, Prince number 1, motherfucker, never knew what it meant to get gone. Cocksucker never understood he needn't silver in his gun. Motherfucker should have never woke from his coffin. Ah. But that cocksucker got to go and call himself Loden. Word is the weak bitch gets all up in his penthouse. Thinks walls will protect him from the teeth and claws of the bloodhounds. The pack was 8 large. Tearing, howling, alpha in charge. The white man came down head in his crown. Bang, bang, he shoots, and one wolfine goes down. But Olaf, white prince, blonde hair, blue eyes, cold as hell, blood like ice. His ass can't fight off the whole rest of the 7 in one night. Tales do tell that they did rip him a new one, turn his ass to ash, and feed his own gun. But word on the streets is that motherfucker can't be beat. Old Olaf's still with us, like he ain't never left. Professor's notes. Critias. So, how did you end up here in Chicago, Mercy? Mercy. I was born here. My name doesn't just straight away make me a migrant. Critias. My apologies. I watch the news occasionally, you see. Mercy. Plenty of Latinas were born here, old man. Critias. I'll try again. What is it you love about this city, this domain? Mercy. Chicago's always been so alive and filled with a drive to bring about change. I've always wanted to be part of that. Critias. What makes you believe you're worthy of joining my academy? Mercy. I thought this was some prince-mandated bullshit. I have a choice? Critias. We don't all have a choice. But in this, you do. Be smart. Mercy. I guess it's not going to hurt to find out about the values of our kind. Critias. And what makes you believe I should waste my time with you? Mercy. Because I'm worth it. I'm a fighter, and will continue to fight. Critias. I see. And what of your religious beliefs? Do you see those as a driving force of change? Mercy. Yes and no. That question is complicated. My heart knows this is where I need to be. My religion tells me I need to find some peace with my condition. Critias. And now that you've heard the rumors, how do you feel about Melanie and everything he was able to accomplish within the city? Mercy. From what I heard from your clanmates, your sire was a pillar of humanity and someone who could have brought great good to this city and this sect. It's a shame he left, I guess. Critias, shouting, "You are wrong. You have been deceived as well. Until you are able to see clearly, you are nothing more than a pawn. Leave my school." Sounds of items being destroyed and footsteps running out. Tribute to a fallen prince. Queen Anne Bosley of London's tribute to Prince Loudon of Chicago. We have lost a great friend in the Americas. Most of you knew Loudon, the Prince of Chicago. Unlike many of our kind, he was a great traveler and regularly visited here and on the continent. He visits were always a pleasure, and he was the finest of companions. Despite the criticism anarchs heaped upon him, Loudon acted for the good of all kindred. Some may have called him rule harsh, others called him pawn, but our welfare was always paramount in his mind. He defended the masquerade with incomparable dedication and ability, and protected all those of the Camarilla from our many enemies. His death is a loss we all suffer. Kindred have lost a superb leader. The Camarilla has lost a stalwart protector, and I have lost a dear friend. The world was made a little place by his presence. The world was made a little better place by his presence, and a sadder place by his loss. Lady Anne, Prince of London. Where's Tia? Where is Tia? I'm not trying to accuse you of anything. I'm just wondering if you've seen her. Last I saw of Tia, and she's real special to me, she said she was going to see you at the club. I didn't even know she knew you, but she seemed to real well before she headed out. Look, Portia, I want you to know I'm not going to blame you if you did need to have a drink and thought she was a good taster. I've had a drink once or twice of her on her account. It's just, I love her. She makes me feel alive again. You get me? So if you've seen her, just tell me where. If there's bad news, break it to me straight. I'm a big girl. I can take it. Just don't leave me hanging. Shifting crowns. Let's be clear. The Primogen Council in the city was always very strong. They were able to rule the city for a good number of years before someone was supported enough to take the praxis. But who would take the crown? First up we have Joseph Peterson from Clan Ventru. This boy was on fire. In fact, he was so hot he burned out before even taking the city. See, when the Primogen doesn't support you, and the city finds you incompetent, it doesn't matter what clan you hail from. You won't get support. And so Joseph is our first failure to the seat. And out with a blaze of glory. He's been exiled for his failure. It's totally fine to laugh at him. Now, we have Kevin Jackson of Clan Ventru. Now, this boy is hot, right? Like real hot. So hot, he not only has the support of the Primogen, but the rest of the city as well. So far, he's been able to keep hold of the crown. He is so loyal to the Camarilla that he actually executed his own clan Primogen, Capone. Can you imagine that? It doesn't take a lot to figure out what happened there. Capone was a major masquerade issue, and Kevin needed to make sure the city would continue to have the backing of the Camarilla when your sect declares technology is out and hand-delivered notes are in. You know it's going to be a bad time for anyone with a face like Capone. Well, him and any clanless or dusky who doesn't toe the line. Word is, Jackson made a business of disappearing anyone who doesn't support him. His smiling self. From a handwritten transcript of Solomon Dane. Voice 1. Have you heard the news? There's a La Sombra in town. Voice 2. Wait. Aren't they the ones from the Sabbat? Shouldn't we tell the sheriff? No. This one was invited to be in the city, apparently. She was sent by an elder to talk to the prince. Wait, really? That's strange. Do you know what about? Not yet. I heard she likes she's like a Hilton or something, though. They have those in the Sabbat? Apparently. Nathaniel. My sire was an asshole. He was a racist, manipulative asshole. And I'm glad I no longer have to be in his shadow. For all his edicts, he sure messed several things up, alright? But don't worry, I took care of them. Leave it to the black man to clean up a racist white man's mess. You see, Loden had favorites. And if you were useful to him, you could get away with shit. Capone is a prime example of that. What in the world is an asshole whose face is all over history books, newspapers, museums, being a vampire? Seriously, that shit don't fly with me. So yes, I took Capone out for being a serious issue to the secrecy of us vampires. And you know what? I cleaned up a bunch of messes left behind after. Every kindred that broke any of the traditions or threatened any kind, I took care of. And you know what else? That earns me some respect, even from you and the other nihilists. I get props from the Justicars for cleaning up the city, and I intend to keep doing what's right for the city and keeping our kind safe. If that means being heavy-handed, so be it. The reign of Loden is done. May he be forgotten. Come to Elysium. If you want me to recognize your presence, if you don't, you'll feel the full weight of this new era coming down on your ugly ass. Prince Kevin Jackson. Sheriff Damien's Recordings, number 102. Juanica. So, this is the loop. I thought these tunnels were closed after the flood. Calhoun. They were, child. According to the mortals, we managed to open them up again for us to use. They were too convenient to let go. Juanica. Do you really think that's wise? What if Prince Jackson finds out? Wouldn't this be a threat to the masquerade? Calhoun. Probably. But nobody comes down here anymore anyway. Besides, most of the Nosferatu who knew this place existed died in 1992. Juanica. Yeah. When it flooded down here. What was that noise? Calhoun. I doubt those rats were watching us from their own volition. Someone wants to know what we're discussing. Let's move topside, shall we? From the Diary of Sun Chi. I was just walking along the path when I heard the whispers of the wind. Soon, they said. I asked myself, soon what? And to my surprise, for the first time in a long time, a voice answered. Soon you shall see my power. Diary, I tried to act defiant. I said, not if I can help it, or over my dead body, or something. Obviously, I'm already dead. I continued my walk to the park. It was beautiful last night, Diary. The pond and the floral walking path around it soothed my mind and quieted the voice. I was staring into the still waters when the demon came back. Where are you going? Am I going to come out and play? I didn't answer this time, Diary. I continued walking. I reached the broad meadow. I love these parts of Chicago. In some woodlands, I left the path and walked beyond the tree line. Someone is following us. This time, I snapped. I could feel my vitae starting to burn in my veins. I didn't unleash myself, but I chastised the voice. Nobody's following us. We're in the park. It's night. You're making me paranoid. It was then that I realized that I had come to the mausoleum. I had no idea one existed out in this reserve. I felt drawn to try the handle, and it turned. The door opened. It was tight in there. The way tree roots had burrowed through the stone. It was as if it had become a passage built as if for children. If I still had to breathe, I wouldn't have entered. I'm sure of it. But within seconds, I was on my hands and knees crawling within. Look. There were skeletons all around, Diary. At least 10, maybe 20. I asked aloud, "What is this place?" And the voice came back. wasn't from within. One of the skeletons spoke to me. A place to bury those who died of cholera. What are you doing here? It wasn't a skeleton at all. I watched a man, maybe an elderly gentleman, drawn and wan, had entered the cavern and was shining a flashlight in my face. I have no idea how he got inside without me seeing him. I told you you were being followed. That mocking prick. Shut up! The man must have thought me mad, as I shielded my eyes from the light. I'm sorry, sir. I thought I saw my dog go down here. Young lady, this is no place for you. Let's go. He went to grab my arm and started to drag me out. I couldn't control myself any longer, diary. I felt my face contort before I even knew the beast was coming to the fore. I think I shouted, "Keep your hands to yourself," before I struck him and drained him. The demon's mocking voice coaxed me back to sanity. Your goddess will not help you. Nobody will. Nobody but me. Just give in and let me help you. The thing is, diary, when I woke up, the man's body wasn't there. No trace of blood. Nothing. I just got the hell out and fled into the night. Dearest, I have found Chicago to be tolerant of my presence for the time being. Negotiations with Prince Jackson have started and have been going well. The residents of the city are, of course, reticent. But once we impress on them the influence they can gain with us as their allies, well, once I've concluded speaking with Prince Jackson, I shall start conversing with the others within the domain and work to earn their support. I believe Prince Jackson will support Clan Lasombra joining the Camarilla, as if he does so, and it goes well, he'll look like some kind of pioneer. We'll play on this. It's no secret he wants to be the Camarilla's American face. Obviously, his concern is for the masquerade and how our elders have so impacted this in times gone by, yourself included. I imagine he's going to expect blood as payment, and not in the Hakim way. I think he'll expect a sacrifice. As you've requested, I'll gauge his properness before committing our clan to any course of action. Your darling, Syria. Cross-clan invitation. Miss Stewart, you are cordially invited to attend the Field Museum after midnight party. The party will be open to the public, so please remember your manners. A special tour of the museum has been arranged for any who wish to have a backstage look and see what really goes on behind the scenes. It'll be more than Sue the T-Rex on display this coming night. De Leon. The Ministry. Olaf's evidence. Do you see how the mighty can fall? Do you? I have proof right here that indeed my own court was working against me. How can I trust anyone? I can't, that's why. And was my folly. But I learned, a little child. Now I am only king of myself and the rags on my back. But do you want to know how the mighty fall? Take this to Critias and see just how they fall. Small piece of paper. Capone, here is the evidence you requested on the Primogen Council. Remember your court. While I was following everyone in the court, the two that stuck out to me are included below. Please use this as you will. Our debt is paid. Another note. Mal Davis. I have been holding the council back from allowing Loden the ability to go after you and the Anarchs. But I can only do so for so long. It is imperative you act quickly and finish the job, or I fear it may be too late. Watch your back, Critias. See, child, the treachery of those who I protected, selling their loyalty for what? Favors, trinkets, more power? To what end? To what end were they trying to accomplish? Well, they certainly got their way, supporting an anarch. I dare say it tantamount to treason. Sheriff Damien's Recordings, number 110. Galera. I'm telling you, there's something fucked up happening in this city. Bennett. Are you seriously on this thing again? I'm telling you, nothing bad is happening. Have a drink, man. Chill. Galera. Tell that to my brain. I can't stop seeing things. Water, poison, blood, everywhere. It's gonna happen. Bennett. What shit are you seeing? Galera. There's something in the lake. Like a fucking shark, only worse. It's big. Ancient. Like predates mortals ancient. Bennett. And how do you propose we deal with it? Galera. I don't know. I'm not the problem solver. I never was. I have these visions, and I try to tell people who will actually do something about it. Bennett. My man, AIDS, says ignore things like that. He says things like that will sleep for centuries. AIDS? Edsy. He represents change. I'm not sure if he's good. Bennett. Guy just wants to make as much money as possible. Galera. He wants more than that. He wants a kingdom. Letter from Mal Davis. Or to Mal Davis from Annabelle. Mal Davis. I remain torn on my support for you. I can see the situation further escalating, and I do not like where I believe it is headed. If you can offer me something greater, I will continue to hold Loden back. Annabelle. From the records of Clan Nosferatu, I decided I'd play Stick the Tail on the Newcomer. And who did I find but Alexa and Aluk on Michigan? I played trailing tourists, taking in everything they were saying and doing. They were walking hand in hand down the street. He wasn't using his cane. He trusts them to guide him. I guess. Their conversation wasn't some great revelation, at least not at first. But here's the skinny. Alexa was asking him about the International Museum of Surgical Sciences in Chicago and whether they could take a look at these things interest them. Their partner in turn offered arrange a tour for them both tonight. Guy must have some pull. They went on like this for a while, talking about some morbid traps of curious tourists, famous crime scenes, the location of Holmes' murder castle, all that stuff. It seems Alexa's into some creepy shit. So, when they asked him how his investigation was going, I record their interactions word for word. Well enough, though there's something weird going on in the city. I'm not sure I can describe it other than off. That was Aluk. Strange. I've had the same feeling. I wonder if we're expecting the same thing. Alexa here. Around the Succubus Club. It has a great atmosphere, but there's a stench of power to it that I think the locals have grown immune to. Which interests me. How long do you need to gas before you become sedated? Aluk again. Maybe we should pay it a visit. Grab a meal. Take home for after. Alexa now. They started talking about other things after this, and I eventually parted with them when I lost them in a shopping mall. Curious stuff. First light text message intercept number CH832. Number blocked. I understand you have found the Dark Mother to be truth. Urzuli. Who is this? How did you get my number? Number blocked. Lilith calls to you. Does she not, sister? Erzuli. She does. How did you know this? Number blocked. We know a great many things, Erzuli. The coven awaits you, if you wish to join us. Erzuli. Where? Number blocked. 41.8947. 87.6062. Text extracted from email at blank body. Number 1021H. Tracy, we have come to an understanding that you feel you have no place within your society. You have been outcast from your family and are searching for a family. We wish to offer you the opportunity to you. We do not normally accept your kind within our ranks, but you are a special case. Please accept our invitation to view our headquarters. Once you do, coordinates will be sent to you an hour before meetup time. This is for both of our safety. Good evening. Sheriff Damien's recordings, number 229. Jackson. What have you found with the Anarchs? That was a little forceful, sorry. Jackson, what have you found with the Anarchs? Damien. So far, they seem to be on the outskirts and not causing much trouble. Jackson. What about Jennison? What about Genghis? He was an issue before. Damien. He was, and still could be. He got his hands on some of the leftist groups. We just have to watch to make sure they don't shut down the city with riots. Jackson. Should that be a priority? Damien. My suggestion will be to see what happens with the first of the demons. If it stays civil and doesn't disrupt the city, I don't see the harm. If we side rail the mortals too much, questions might start getting asked. Jackson. And what of our new La Sombra friend? Damien. She seems legit to me. He seems to be grotesque of some kind, with no interest in his reason for being sent here. I've followed her for a while and have not seen her do anything that would make me question her intentions other than her business ventures. Jackson. I'm not too concerned about that right now. Just keep an eye on her. Damien. Was there anything else you were wanting me to look into? Jackson. Yeah. There's a wooded area near Skokie that had a hand found in it. It came back as a woman missing it for a couple weeks. You might want to check that out. Damien. Understood. Is it a threat? Jackson. Her hand was removed by a knife. So I would say no threat to the masquerade, but there may be other things going on. I'd say it's nothing to do with us, but we both know of the primogen who likes to nest down there. Damien. That's sick fuck. As spoken by an unidentified anarch. Read this and read it well. I'm not in this shithole of a city for my own health. I'm here to serve the movement, and if you're going to obstruct me, I'll be forced to go higher than you. You may think you're king shit as Baron of Gary, but Chicago is a whole other kettle of fish. Got that? I know you're looking to make nice with Jacko and his glittering new domain, but that isn't how the movement of tonight is going to play. The old ways of collaboration, long gone. You may have age on us, you may have title, but neither of those things means fuck all when the big boys can just close up shop and tell us to take a hike. No. Now's the time to fight back. I'm just waiting for the order. When it comes, wait for the boom. Dear Rabbi Basaris, I know it's been some time since I've written you. I wanted to reach out in advance of my arrival in your city. The coming presence of my brother and I is somewhat known at this point, but the reasons behind it are not, and I delight in keeping everyone guessing. I am sure if you are meant to know, the friends of the night will pass on the information. I have come to ask for your help once I reach the city, since I will be in meetings and councils for what seems like the immediate future. It has come to my attention that there might be several of our clanmates residing in the city who may need plucking from this coil of ours. I'm unsure of whom they might be at this time, but I do know the Hound wants them gone before I arrive. He will do his part, but we rely on you to help clear the board of interference. My hope is to find these people and use their elimination as leverage for our future bargaining. Thanks to you, feel free to check in at the Diamond Yama Hotel at any time should you desire a message discreet resting place. Or just a bite to eat. Yours, Surya. Nights of Pleasure. Come and join the celebration at House Mama Waldale. I butchered that, and I know. June is Pride Month, and we are proud to celebrate all of our community's identities. House Mamawala will be hosting several themed parties over the next 4 weeks. Come as you are, you glorious individuals. I want to see all your crazy diamonds shine. Mama Francis. Text extracted from email to blank body. Number code red 19. Hey, so, is it true you guys, sparkle? Just kidding. Anyway, you really should be more careful. I was able to track you from your phone. If you don't want that to happen anymore, just let me know. I'd like to work for you. A bit more official capacity. Blank body voicemail intercept number 82CH. Hi, this is Annabelle. Please leave a message. Annabelle, it's Nero. I'm just worried because haven't been seen a couple nights. I know it's not like me to give a fig, but give me a call, okay? Alexa's Dream Record, number 12. Alexa's Dream Record, number 12. I was standing in a garden I've never been in, but I was fairly certain it was Eden, the first garden. It was the most beautiful garden I had ever seen. I could feel my heart burst with joy at being there, in the most beautiful place. I never wanted to leave. I walked around the garden, exploring all the new plants growing there, plants I've never seen before. I knew better than to touch anything. In the center of the garden was a tree with the most beautiful apples in it. I started to reach up and grab one when a hand stopped me. From it. I hoped it was Aluk. It was a dark-skinned woman with long hair flowing to the earth. No, child, she said. Those are not for us. If you eat them, you will not be welcome here any longer. I found myself answering, Mother, why am I here? What brought me to the Garden of Eden? Because you serve the gods, do you not? You serve all of them without question. I do serve them. It's my purpose. Her hand caressed my face, and I cried for the first time in over a century. I even woke with blood on my cheeks. Why do you cry? Because you're so beautiful, and because I want to serve you. You will, my darling. You shall serve me and all the gods, and Eden will be waiting for you when you're done. But who are you? What god are you? I am the mother god. I am the first woman to walk the earth, and the first to be punished. I was a god before Cain. I am Lilith. In my dream, I pulled away from the woman, and for the first time since I entered the garden, I wanted to leave. I cried out, "No! You're no god. You're a demon." I am never this hysterical in my waking hours. My fangs grew, and a snarl left my throat. "You cannot leave here, child, not without my permission. You cannot keep me here. Wake up!" I knew I was waiting for the dream to end, only it didn't. I said, "Wake up!" The garden filled with laughter, and it drove me mad. I almost felt overwhelmed by the madness that struck me. In an act of desperation, I managed to make my way to the tree, pick up an apple off of it, and take a bite. This Lilith woman screamed an unholy scream, and pain washed over me like a wave. I watched as Eden started to die around me, the plants rotting on the ground, and it made my heart want to break into 1,000 pieces. When I woke up, I swear I spat out a chunk of apple. Aluk had been keeping fruit and other food in the apartment. Had I been sleepwalking, and yet climbed back into bed? As I sat in bed next to Aluk, I began to weep uncontrollably. Fresh vitae joined the crusted smears around my eyes. Aluk told me to write this all down and sank fast back to sleep. I'm afraid to join him. First light. Text message intercepted. Number CH839. Bronwyn, do you have any orders for tonight? HQ. Nope, nothing tonight. Bronwyn. Okay, cool. Have a good night. HQ. Sorry. Just got two in. One is to the SC. The other is to the greenhouse. Bronwyn. Strange. Did they say what they wanted? HQ. SC is the normal order for them. Greenhouse was masochists. Maybe check S&M clubs. Brownwood. Weird hippies. Alright. I'll get that started. Sheriff Damien's Recordings, number 303. Chrysius. I hear there is a La Sombra within the city. Curious, isn't it? Kevin. Yes, it is curious indeed. Why would you ask? Critias. Because I'm wondering what a member of the rebellion is doing within the walls of our Elysium. Doesn't it go against everything you believe in? Kevin. It does. And it takes a lot from me not to just destroy them. Chrysius. Why don't you? Are you turning into Loden, getting soft? Kevin. No. The La Sombra have come to Chicago for a very specific reason, and I have been asked by the directorate to listen to that reason. Chrysius. You see, it's not like you to take orders from others. Kevin. In the long run, this will help the Camarilla. That's what I'm told. It grates, but I'm playing nice. If for some reason that changes, there will be a couple of ash piles you can study. How does that sound? Chrysius. Sounds like a deal to me, O Prince. Recording ends.
That was the end of chapter 1. And may I say that next time we meet, we shall be reading chapter 2. Welcome to the night. I am Voivode Maquette, and this is our World of Darkness. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, drop a comment, and if you have any other books that you would like me to read after this, let me know. Have a good evening.